The intense kitchen movie has been done to death, I think. We've all seen it. But what's a workplace that's yet to have its tense character movie set there?
Have we started, or is it just friend content?
I love the friend content.
you said it with such like authority and
I know, right?
gravitas that it was like, oh shit, are we in it? Where's a workplace that hasn't had like an intense? I mean, Supermarket hasn't had an intense, but I think it gets fucking intense. Yeah. I hate it.
Yeah.
But one which would deservedly need a tense.
No, I like the idea of the Bradley Cooper movie set in Asda.
Yeah, just not getting those vans out on time.
This trolley isn't properly inserted into this one in front. It's not perfect. I hate it. And he kicks the massive chain of trolleys over.
Just starts swearing at everyone. Gets up in their faces.
You know, Krispy Kreme pays us a lot of money to have placement here, right? Do you think they want this? A raspberry donut and with the jelly? Is that what Krispy Kreme want? And then he smashes the whole thing.
We just got a Krispy Kreme in our Asda a little while ago. But now that I can see how much they're swapped out, I want to eat them less.
Oh, really? Oh, no, what, people just picking them up and then being like, well, actually.
Just that, like, they'll sit in that cabinet for a few days and you're just like...
Oh, dear.
No.
You saw how the sausage is made and how the donuts are kept.
Yeah.
Podcast that should be dealing in culinary orgasms. I'm Paul Greatcakes, and I am joined this week by the absolute legend. She can GM, she can bring to life endless memorable weird little guys, and draw a butt that you'd gladly show your mum. It's Sara Keep from Podcasts.
Oh, hello, it's me from Podcasts. Don't show your mum the butts I draw. They're for you and you alone.
Oh, yes. She gets her own. She gets her own supply. Tell us about the podcast that you currently smash it on.
I am currently on Quest Fantastic, an actual play D&D podcast about 4 retired heroes coming out of retirement to help save their friend Gumbro Dewclaw, which also happens to feature 2 Pauls.
Yeah. Oh, I've heard that's so good and well acted.
Yes, I especially think that the best character is Blurg.
Oh, I've also had that opinion.
Yeah, and the worst character is Jump.
Yes, that is basically the consensus that I've seen. Yeah,
and he's not here
to about that.
Defend himself, which is fun. Goodman cannot talk back in this. What a treat! What a change from Quest Fantastic.
Oh yeah, it's all going to come out here. This is what's really going to happen to Jump.
But I'm also on the anthology actual play podcast Roll Plus Heart, a queer actual play podcast with my friends Jen, Bex, and Helen, where we do a variety of TTRPGs, rotating pretty much monthly. So you can jump on with any game that sounds interesting to you, from thirsty sword lesbians to kids on bikes.
Yeah, I've got to say, you and the other host, Jen, Bex, and Helen, just really knocking it out of the park.
Yeah, Jen, Bex, Helen is one person, and they're great.
They're very good. They're very powerful. They're the power of many entities. And how timely, though, because with the menu in cinemas this weekend, let's catch up on an earlier serving of haute cuisine hokum, because Sarah has asked us to review a movie you kind of remember that stars everyone, the 2015 Bradley Cooper thing, Burnt.
I was 16, I quit school. I saved just enough for a one-way ticket to Paris. Maybe I just wanted it really bad, and then when I got it too early, I didn't know how to hold on to it.
What do you want?
I'm gonna run the best restaurant in the world.
You sure he's famous?
If you're a chef, he's like the Rolling Stones. If you try to start a new restaurant, there are at least a dozen people who will try to have you killed.
The kitchen's the only place I've ever felt like I really belonged. I loved every minute of it. The heat, the pressure, the violence.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
You came to me and you said, what is a film that you would like to talk about on One Good Thing? And I have previously mentioned this on One Good Thing.
Ooh.
Yes.
How?
How indeed. Your
How indeed?
2020 anniversary episode.
Oh my god, yes! I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
He
when I'm
asked
put on
everyone.
the spot, I can only think of two films because I don't tend to walk out on films.
Sure.
Yeah, and the only two I can think of is Spanglish, which I've already got you to cover
Yep.
way back in the baby days.
The baby days.
In the baby days, and then when it was put on the spot in 2020, I was like, I guess Burnt. Thinking, well, it probably wasn't as bad as I remember. But yeah, I think 2020 Sarah was spot on.
You gotta go with your gut. Like any good chef, I imagine. This movie doesn't really say.
Like Adam Jones
Adam Jones.
or Montgomery Reese.
Somebody's got a character list in front of them. Oh god. Well, the film was directed by John Wells, the director of other movies you kind of remember that star everyone, The Company Men and August Osage County, when he really, really wanted all the Oscars. Burnt was his most recent / last film, possibly. We'll find out when he dies. He is mainly a TV showrunner and an executive producer, having worked on ER, The West Wing, American Shameless, which is just me indicating it's not called American Shameless, although it should be. Shameless US. And Animal Kingdom. And fun fact, no one actually knows what an executive producer does. In film class recently, it was described by one of our professors as something in order to give the film more prestige.
Huh.
You get
Does
Brad
John
Pitt to
Wells
executive produce.
lend your production
Yeah.
more prestige though? Because before you mentioned him, I didn't even realize that's who directed this. Didn't even realize this person existed.
This movie had a director. It needn't have done.
No. Could have sworn it was a fully Bradley Cooper vanity project, but he did everything.
He may have recruited the guy himself. The film was written by the screenwriting enigma of our time, Stephen Knight, a man who wrote the excellent films Eastern Promises, Locke, and Spencer, but also wrote Allied, The Girl in the Spider's Web, and previous OGT entry Serenity. So maybe he drinks heavily?
Maybe he just has a 50-50 track record, or it's like one for him, one for Hollywood.
These are the ones for Hollywood.
Yes.
And actually, that is kind of it. I could see, it's like weird vanity projects for actors. Oh my god, that is the pattern. Like Allied for Brad Pitt and Marion Cotillard. Girl in the Spider's Web, well, kind of just a franchise installment thing. A franchise that didn't take off. And Serenity was a big McConaughey Anne Hathaway joint. Huh. But then again, Spencer was kind of a Kristen Stewart thing, and I enjoy Spencer. He is also one of the 3 men who invented Who Wants to Be a Millionaire back in the 90s, so he can afford to drink heavily. I know, right?
This is wild.
A common thread between Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and Burnt, Bradley Cooper's Burnt, behind it. It's like when you find out Jasper Carrot invented golden balls. Like, huh.
I mean,
it's just bizarre.
Do you want to share or do you want to share?
That was what Jasper Carrot was always saying in the 80s alternative comics scene. And he brought that to Golden Balls, the most confusing game on British television. Oh god, this film started as a comedy called Chef, seemingly with Cooper involved early on, which does suggest, then Jon Favreau made his third and last good movie, Chef, so they changed the name to the main name of the character in the film, Adam Jones. Firstly, seemingly indifferent to the possibility of disappointing Tool fans, and then also just to make sure the title says absolutely nothing about the film.
I mean, that shows the thinking of someone that just doesn't understand how films work. Like, oh, we'll call this Adam Jones. Like, oh, is that a famous person? No, it's actually the most generic name we could ever have thought of.
Yeah, it's like it's like Michael Clayton, you know. It's just this idea of, ooh, I'm intrigued. I must learn more. This is clearly an art film of some sorts. You know, who is this? Adam Jones. And you can run like taglines like Jones in the kitchen. I don't know. I have no idea what the thinking here on this was. It was just baffling. It then changed its name to Untitled John Wells Movie, which I think is actually better.
Yeah, that's more intriguing.
Finally, it is. And then finally burned. How'd it get burnt?
How'd it get
No one
burnt?
knows. How'd it get burnt?
How'd it get
How'd
burnt?
it get to become burnt?
Well, we just learned how it got burnt. It went through many stages.
It was a complicated process, Nicolas Cage.
Stop
I'll
asking.
explain it if you calm down. The movie was produced by Gordon Ramsay.
Is that
Take
true?
that what you will, or what you can, yeah.
Oh, do you think any of it's based on him?
What? Ooh, it's hard to say. Can you tell us, Gordon, about times when you've lost your shit in the kitchen? When you've made your insecurities everybody else's problem? I can think of a couple of examples. I don't know why he was Blur. The film was received by critics like the opportunity to make a terrible cooking metaphor because they all absolutely did that. Let's have a look at here for the clumsiest. Where's Peter Travers? Oh yeah, fuck. Here he is. Rolling Stone. A cheerless and unappetizing plate of piffle that deserves to be smashed against a wall or at least sent back to the kitchen. Director John Wells and screenwriter Stephen Knight cooked this mess up, and they get all the ingredients wrong. God damn it, Peter Travers. Public, meanwhile, are all uniformly better people than Peter Travers. Louis A.F. V. Weltzler? V. Weltzler! Remember that one? There's a fucking obscure reference.
I'm sorry, I do not. I'm sorry, I'm not Goodman. I feel like he would have not let you down in this.
He would have let me down. He wouldn't have gotten that. I was referencing the Ridge Racer guy from some press
Oh,
conference.
okay. Now I do know that. And Enemy Crab.
Oh yeah, that was the same one.
Yeah, that's the same press conference.
Massive damage. Oh shit. Yeah.
Ridge Racer.
V. Weltzler said, great film for people who love La Haute cuisine. Oh, so it was. Who love La Haute cuisine, great chefs, and have wonderful taste. Sorry, have a wonderful taste. You will learn not only about how to make a perfect and quite distinguished dish, but also to avoid making big mistakes in a 3 stars Michelin kitchen. Spoilers. Furthermore, you will enjoy splendid actors working as a team.
Now, I'll say I don't think I learned how to cook anything watching this film. I learned early on that sous videing was bad, but then he gave in and started sous videing things. But that didn't teach me how to. Oh, and that sometimes the haddock or halibut would be rubbery if done in a certain way. But I didn't learn anything, so that review is already
wildly
100%
inaccurate.
wrong.
Yeah, and I feel like I don't know how best to avoid the wrath that I will inevitably incur, apparently, in any kind of professional kitchen, and should expect to endure as part of my working life. So many Fremens, though. Thremens. We've got recurring extras Carl Thara, who was in Holmes and Watson and Transformers The Last Night. We have Roy Beck, who was in Now You See Me Too and Transformers The Last Night. Ben Colacho, who was in Hellboy, Men in Black International, Doolittle, Now You See Me Too, and Transformers The Last Night. Then, in terms of the big names, we've got Omar Sy, who was in Inferno and Transformers The Last Night. I think that maybe Michael Bay just showed up at the burnt set and just grabbed a whole bunch of people. You, and you. I'm Omar Sy, I'm a major part in this movie. Well, not anymore, you're not. We'll just have to write you out. And then, yes, in terms of the 2 biggest names, we have Uma Thurman, who was, of course, in Batman and Robin, movie 43, God, and The Avengers, not that one. And Emma Thompson, who was in Men in Black International, Doolittle, and Junior.
Wow.
All, yeah, illustrious careers there.
Happy that my 2 favourite actors from this film aren't on that list.
Ah! Get into that later. Who could it be? Who could it be?
Oh, free to a man, free in the bush, free, yo. Films are shit, mate.
The film has 6.6 on IMDb, 28 on Rotten Tomatoes, 76% on Google. Is nothing bad enough for you, Google? Nothing. One day something's going to dip below 60 on Google. I don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to have to be pretty bad. And made $36.6 million on a $20 million budget, which probably means, when considering marketing costs, that it did lose some money. Because I do remember the advertising for this. It was very big in Canary Wharf. We're going to get the Haute Cuisine fans in. Oh, God. So Sarah, you ogre! What's one thing about Burnt that makes it the only place you've ever felt like you belonged? By which I mean, how come you chose this?
Again, I'm not good at thinking of films I hate. I did come up with a second scenario for you, which was Ghostbusters Afterlife.
I was very interested in that.
Yes, we'll probably revisit that at a later point. You and I.
We will.
Because I think we have very similar opinions on what a shameless film that was.
Yes.
But Burnt was a very unique scenario because, again, like, I tend to not go see films if I think they're going to be bad or seek out bad films.
Yeah.
But I was in Melbourne and I had 5 hours to kill before a flight.
Oh, man.
So
what could be better?
What could be better than walking to the cinema next to the convention center and seeing what's on? I could see Bridge of Spies, or I could see Burnt.
Oh, wow.
I wonder if this coin flip will.
Oh no. Oh God. Ugh, that cursed coin. Well, let's have a quick run through of what happens in Burnt, because we open with a moody opening, a cold open. Ooh, maybe this is going to be interesting, and sort of just go, oh, okay, narration. Good. Of course.
Jean-Luc, my mentor, the guy who gave me a chance as a chef, said to me it was God who created oysters and apples. And you can't improve recipes like that. But it is our job to try. Being a young chef, I sure as hell tried. I spent 10 years cooking in Paris and became head chef at Jean-Luc's restaurant. I was good. Some nights I was almost as good as I thought I was. At least that's what I'm told. Then I destroyed it all. My devils chased me out of Paris and I washed up in New Orleans. I sentenced myself to hard labor shucking oysters, and today's the last day of my penance.
Can't tell a story without narration. I'm particularly good with the hindsight knowledge that this is the only narration in the movie. Gotta get people caught up so they know about the Bradley Cooper. But what do we know about Bradley Cooper? What's he all about here?
He's doing penance, which is maybe one of the most condescending concepts I've ever heard of. That he's like, oh, I've done something wrong, so I have to do penance by doing a menial job. And it's like, that's a job that somebody does, Bradley. That's a job. That's an actual person's job. You can't treat it like it's a punishment, you absolute dickhead.
Absolutely. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, he's done something in Paris. It haunts him.
Mysterious.
He's shucked a million oysters. Sorry, 100 would be something.
100 wouldn't even be worth going to New Orleans for.
I didn't realise I could do that so quickly. I thought it would be much more complicated. But also, no one from the world of haute cuisine ran into him in New Orleans, one of the culinary capitals of the US. Maybe he was in a really bad restaurant. They've probably got bad oyster places out there.
Yeah. And when he shucked his millionth one, he just walked out. Again, What an absolute tool. Not like, all right, hey, thanks for hiring me, or thanks for giving me a job. It was like, no, I've done my little mental thing that was only relevant to me. Goodbye.
How did you interview for this job? I'm running from my past. Cool, we get a lot of that here. Here's your apron. Oh, Christ. He goes back to London and reunites with his old friend, Captain Zemo.
Baron, I think you'll find. I think you'll find he's a Baron. Captain Zemo feels like you've mixed up Captain Nemo and Baron Zemo.
That's what I did there. Jules Verne's Captain Zemo. Yes, Baron Zemo, who runs a fancy hotel, and who's mad at Bradley Cooper because of what he did in Paris. What did you do?
What did you do, Bradley?
I'll tell you what he did. Is he pissed off Omar Sy as well. But it's okay. He's going to work with him anyway.
But he just happened to be sat outside of a Burger King. Now, here's the thing that, not to jump ahead just a little bit, but
sure.
Do you think Burger King paid to have product placement in this film?
Because if I was writing...
so weird.
I feel like if I was writing the scene that's going to happen at Burger King later, I would have picked McDonald's as the more obvious reference point. But maybe, yeah, I think they got sponsorship from Burger King on the assumption that they get nice things get said about Burger King.
But in this hot cuisine film...
It's like French peasant food, Sarah.
But Omar just happened to be sat outside a Burger King when Adam was walking past. Let's have a little chase and a punch up in an alleyway, an old London alleyway.
Old London alleys. We've got a few of them. Yeah. Cooper, he wants to get his 3rd Michelin star, so he's recruiting some people who will barely make an impression later in the film, including a young street food guy whom he tells to assert himself and then moves in with him and his girlfriend. That's a good start.
His girlfriend played by a relatively unknown Lily James.
Lily James is here. Ooh.
Yeah. For one scene and one scene only.
Yeah, I really thought that was going to be something. I thought that's my summary of most of the scenes in this movie. I thought that was going somewhere.
It didn't.
Speaking of which, Uma Thurman is here.
Woof. And kicking off the beginning of this film's terrible LGBTQ plus representation.
Oh, yeah.
Where she's like, the weirdest line in the film, just like...
Closed down any good restaurants lately?
I don't close good restaurants. My reviews close bad ones.
I need you to help me kick this arrogant city's ass. I'm back, and I'm gonna cook like we did in the old days, before we started warming up fish in little plastic bags.
You know, when I lie awake at night and list my regrets, you're one of them. I say to myself, Simone, you're a lesbian. Why did you sleep with Adam Jones?
Excuse me?
You've got to know that he's fucked everyone and that he can do it and that he chooses not to. Regardless of someone's sexual orientation. That's What do you mean, ridiculous male fantasy? That's how the world works. Oh, yeah, she's playing an asshole food critic. Oh, that's original. Never seen that portrayed on screen before. She's the restaurant critic for the Evening Standard, the most respected newspaper in all of England. Do you know about the Evening Standard?
I do not know about Evening Standard.
Yeah.
Do you know about Evening Standard?
It is a London newspaper that is a awful Tory rag that backed Boris at every chance it could, and it's distributed for free because you couldn't get anyone to fucking pay for it.
Oh, how prestigious to get
I know.
Simone Forth to write your review.
Okay, I need to stop my computer making that noise, and I don't know how, and I can't, but I have. There we go. Yeah, absolutely. Let's make sure that we get a good review in this paper that everybody reads on the train when they're bored, but not even that now because people have phones. So Cooper assholes himself into a job at Zemo's restaurant and starts to assemble his crew. He's got Captain Zemo, obviously. Sienna, I hope she's not the love interest Miller. Lily James's boyfriend, who will never be the focus of a shot again for the rest of this movie. Also, the bad guy from John Wick 2, who I don't think gets a line again after this point. The guy he recruits from prison.
Yes, but he drives to prison on a motorbike with no helmet on. And I thought, that's the most arrogant. Again, maybe not the most arrogant. He does a lot of arrogant shit in this film, but to drive through London on a motorbike with no helmet on is like, it perfectly encapsulates the character, honestly. Vanity and arrogance.
Absolutely. There you go. He's such a badass is the thing. And then also Omar Sy is about. But also about, and I thought, getting recruited into the crew, but apparently not. It's his nemesis, who I'm calling James Michael Sheen McAvoy. He's Macasheen.
Now you dare to speak ill of my beloved Matthew Rhys.
Oh my god! What do you know Matthew Rhys from? Because I had a look, but I couldn't see anything.
here's the thing. I didn't know him when I saw this film in 2015. So I fully forgot that he was in this film. But since then, he was in the really great... I've forgotten the name. Give me 10 seconds. It was really great. It was a remake of a TV show about a lawyer. Fuck, I'm going to have to click on Matthew Reese. Cut this out. Cut this floundering out. Perry Mason, I got there about...
Oh, right, yes.
He was in the really great 2020 remake of Perry Mason. And he also voiced Belos in The Owl House and Figgy in Tuca and Bertie. So I'm a great fan of Matthew Reese, and so was delighted that he would be here to help get me through this film, even if he was playing an absolute dickhead as well.
Well, that is a bit of a challenge in this film. And finally, I think, is Emma Thompson, who's also here. And it's just so much fun that we can just keep adding more and more characters rather than develop any one of them.
Her role was... She's a doctor, but she seemed to be a doctor of everything.
Yeah.
She could do blood tests, but she was also a therapist.
Yeah, it's like her function in the movie is the same function as literally everyone else, which is just people for him to confide in about his insecurity. That's every other role. Oh, God. It's ridiculous.
And
but yeah.
Not to jump ahead, she's also a terrible therapist.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. We can get more into that. But yeah, we hear more about what Cooper was like back when he was an interesting character. But you know what? Now he's the underdog. He's having to pull his way up from the bottom with absolutely nothing except his skill, his charm, and his ability to triple people's wages at will.
I mean, again, the dickhead move of getting Sienna Miller's character fired from Henry Goodman's restaurant was absolute. Again, I started a tally of every time he manipulated people into doing something he wanted, and I gave up. I put 5 knocks on it and then flipped to the next page of notes, and I was like, forgot that I'd started a tally, but I can only assume it would have tripled.
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah. It's just, oh Jesus, yeah, absolute manipulation from beginning to end, and just. But you know what? He knows what's best for her. He knows what she needs intuitively.
Yes,
she doesn't. She has no idea.
No, she doesn't need stability. She needs to work in the most hostile work environment possible.
She needs as much stress as possible. It's what's going to make her a great chef, and that is her number one priority. Never mind the kid.
No. What kid?
What kid? Anyway, he's getting shitty now, though. He's throwing stuff about and asking sarcastic questions from his crew. Oh, but all that sympathy he's accrued with me, the audience. I don't know what to do now.
I'm going to give everybody who had dinner here tonight their money back. And I'm going to write to each and every one of them and apologize. I'm going to apologize for the fucking disaster that happened here tonight. I gave you this to use, right?
Yes, chef.
Because each slice of potato for pomme mayonnaise has to be exactly 2 millimeters thick. Did you think that was a joke?
No, chef.
Did you measure your potato slices?
No, there's no time.
There's no time. You just have to know. But you don't know. I thought you did. I'm sorry. My fault. God, I made a mistake with you. I didn't know you were deaf.
I'm not deaf.
Then how come I left you at the saucier, then I find you at the poisson?
I'm not talking to you!
How did you turn a beautiful, fresh piece of turbot into a pale, lifeless turbot fuck-all? How the fuck did you do that?
I thought he was the good guy, but he's an anti-good guy, I guess.
If only there was a term for that.
If only. But there's not. Bradley Cooper invented it in this movie. So he has a bad opening night, and so he goes on to Good Morning Britain, the most respectable news show in England. Jesus Christ, our media landscape is a shit show.
I mean, Good Morning Britain, yeah, is so disreputable anyway, but he was giving the worst interview I've ever seen.
He's sullen, moody, trying to hurry things along. It's amazing.
I didn't sell his restaurant, but I guess the point was, it doesn't need to. Yeah. He's giving away food.
He doesn't want you here. Yes, he gives away a free week of food. And then a critic from the Times, a slightly more respectable newspaper for pricks, shows up in order to, review the place. And I think that's an actual food guy, based on my limited knowledge. It's not Jay Rayner, and therefore it's not a food journalist I recognize.
Are you sure? I feel like he's
Oh?
an actor.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
I thought he was a foodman.
Yes. I'll have to just pull down on his IMDb till I find him. Martin
Yes.
Treneman?
I think he has one
Yes.
line.
Yeah. That's Treneman. He's an actor.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And a
my
writer.
mistake.
Yeah.
Ooh. Is he a food writer?
No, I'm afraid
Can we
he's
both
a
be right?
comedy writer.
Oh, shit.
But was he the one that wrote the headline Old Kitchen Devil Fails to Shock?
No, I think he wrote the vaguely positive one. A headline article that said something like, pleasant surprise from... Unbelievable. But yeah, he gets a good review, which leads Makashine, I've already written into my notes. What was it? Reese.
Matthew Reese.
Matthew Reese.
Dear beloved Matthew Reese.
Matthew Reese. He throws a fit in his own kitchen. This is an awful industry. You need to not work in it. Cooper has another ridiculous monologue about how he wants his food to basically ruin everyone's life, it sounds like.
Adam Jones, the Langham, is now one of the best and most interesting places in London to come and eat.
Which part of that don't you like? One of or interesting?
I don't want my restaurant to be a place where you come and eat. I want my restaurant to be a place where you fucking... I mean, we should be dealing in culinary orgasms. When's the last time you had an orgasm that was interesting?
I mean, never, ever to discuss food with you in public.
People eat because they're hungry. I want to make food that makes people stop eating.
You're being stupid.
Cooking is an expression of who we are. Right now, we're 2 stars. Both of us. It's a 2-star review. Now, we can keep on cooking and be interesting, but I want people to sit at that table and be sick with longing.
I want everyone to question their identity based on the sandwich I've just given them.
Was this the culinary orgasm?
Yeah.
Yep. In my notes, I just wrote, ooh, gross. That's all I needed to elaborate on that point. Please stop talking, Bradley.
Well, that's another party have left. We're going to have to clean all the chairs again. But at this stage, my stomach lurches because I get the sense they might be setting up a romance between him and Sienna Miller. And I just... I
mean, it's already fraught because the power dynamic of your abusive boss that's holding your job over you.
Yep, with cult of personality thrown in because he's a celebrity.
Absolutely grotesque.
Oh,
but
God.
It has to be, doesn't it? Can't be a vanity project without the 2 attractive people kissing at one point.
Oh, God. Yeah. Well, anyway, they're setting up the tension of the movie, which is that there's Michelin stars at stake, and they explain the concept of what those are, and talk about the Michelin men as if they're the actual Urukai.
Do you know about the Michelin Man?
It is a book.
It is the book, Yana. The Bible.
Michelin sends its inspectors to restaurants to eat and award stars. 1, 2, 3.
Or none.
No one knows who they are. No one. They come, they eat, they go. But they have habits. They have to stick to a routine to give every restaurant the same chance. Michelin men eat in pairs.
Sometimes the Michelin Man can even be a woman.
They always book a table before 7:30. The first of the pair arrives early and has a drink at the bar. His partner arrives half an hour later. One orders the tasting menu, the other one a la carte. Always. They order half a bottle of wine, they ask for tap water, they wear business suits, they're polite. But, attention, they may place a fork on the floor, under the table to see if you notice. And they wouldn't drop it, because that could make a noise and make it too easy.
Everything from now on must be perfect. Not good, not excellent, perfect. If they find one single thing wrong, they will kill us. And they will come for us soon.
We'll get to this later. That is actually a point that I liked in the film. That's maybe the only thing I liked in the film was the specificity with which the Michelin men would come.
There's an absolute code that means you will easily and instantly recognize all of them.
Yeah. It was so dumb that I loved it.
There's also the line in there, sometimes the Michelin man can even be a woman. All those bastards. They thought of everything.
Breaking gender norms.
Just say that as if it's such a revelation.
It's fun as well because I think of the Michelin man as the tire guy.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine if he was the secret shopper.
Just with like a bowler hat on. Just
Hello.
squeaking into the...
Hello, I'm a
I'm
a regular patron.
I'll drink at the bar.
Oh, also, for reasons of contrivance, Cooper still owes some drug money to some gangsters. He can triple any salary he likes, but he can't pay off them gangsters. It would be against his honor. Such an honorable man.
Paris.
Oh, and also Sienna Miller is now turning into a prick as well. Oh, that's beautiful. The art of cooking. She's really growing as a character. Speaking of which, it is also revealed in a conversation with the therapist that even Baron Zemo is in love with Bradley Cooper.
And the second bad LGBTQ plus representation.
I'm fine with the gays so long as they live in quiet longing and never actually do the thing that they're supposed to do.
Yeah, their goals in life are not fulfilled. They just have to long for a doomed relationship with a cis, straight, white male.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe they'll get a bone thrown every now and then, and that can be a comedy moment.
Yes. Oh, he kissed him. Oh, what a nice gift.
Oh, thank you for that.
What a gift from the straight man.
Back to living alone forever for me. That's also the line of... At this stage, it just becomes me writing down bits that irk me. But I also wrote the line, prostitutes charge extra to fake orgasms. That sounds incorrect. That sounds like a great...
Because when would they broach that with the customer? Like, if you want me to fake it, pay me ahead of time. Or is it after the fact? And they're like, oh, okay.
That's a real burn.
I did fake it, so that's an extra 20 quid, thanks.
20 quid, I'll pretend I'm enjoying this.
I guess?
The illusion has been broken. And that's what I'm all about in my visits to the sex workers. Oh, God. So they go to Matthew Reese's restaurant, where they meet Alicia Vikander, his ex, whom he wronged in...
Paris.
And that's the end of that.
Again, really before she was big as
Yeah.
well. I think she'd really just done Ex Machina.
Yes, 2015, yeah. This is like on the cusp.
Yeah.
Before she kind of disappeared again. Unless I'm overlooking something obvious. Because she had, within a year, it was like Ex Machina, Light Between Oceans, which was a big deal at the time, and Tomb Raider.
Yes. And then I know she did a music video for The National. Was that big? Is that big enough thing?
It wasn't big in the cinemas, but it was big in our hearts.
It was big in my heart. 2019.
Yeah, unless Ben Wheatley ever actually does make Tomb Raider 2, we can only hope that the best will happen for Alicia Vikander. And Michael Fassbender. Maybe they're too busy just being really, really fucking hot together. Too busy to act. It could be the issue. Oh no, there's a scene where Cooper's not just being an arbitrary dick for no good reason. Oh, now he's gonna have to kiss Sienna Miller. No.
I can't remember. Was it in the rain? Oh, I imagine.
No, it's on the
rain.
street, I think. It could have been it should have been in the rain. It was on the street, and then, oh good, those gangsters are here to interrupt.
I was happy about that as well. I was like, please end. Because also, I think Sienna Miller said, this is a fucking stupid idea. And I said, yes. Yes, it is, Sienna.
Correctly identified.
Run away. You're self-aware of what's happening, but you can't change your fate.
Oh, no. It's tragic. It's the tragedy of Sienna Miller, this movie. But yeah, the gangsters beat him up. At the worst possible time, because the Michelin people are now here. And that gets overtly spelled out to us over a very long slow-motion sequence. So they desperately cook some food for them. But oh, twist! Omar Sy fucked him over because of Paris. What happened? Like he fucked a lobster.
We'll never know.
Oh god, maybe recruiting a bunch of people who hate you wasn't the best idea.
But it was a unexpected twist that this character that hasn't had a great deal of screen time throughout the film suddenly betrays him.
I just went to imagine him walking away, and in my head I just had him also do this as he walks out.
For listening audience, Paul gave the double bird.
The classic double bird. That's how I think Omar Sy ducked out of this movie in order to go be in The Last Night.
Or just go sit back outside a Burger King.
His favourite haunt. It's good old peasant food. He is French after all. It's like the food back home.
You know, in France they call this a Le Whopper.
Oh, God. So, yeah, Cooper goes and gets too drunk to act drunk convincingly. And
Oh, it's the worst drunk acting
Yeah.
I've ever seen in my
it's so
life.
bad.
Whoa! What the fuck is that?
This is like, oh, what are you doing in here? What are you doing? What are you guys doing in here? This is so great. This stuff is so great. We're the best. Tell me.
Everybody out now! Ba ba ba! Ba 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 ba! Ba ba ba!
Get out now!
Ba 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 ba! Oh! Ba-
Da, ba, 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 da, da. What are you doing? You've been drunk before, Mr. Cooper. Go take lessons from Stephen Knight, the writer of the movie. Oh, God, yeah. In the morning, he has a scene with Matthew Rhys, in which he doesn't act like an arbitrary dick for no good reason. Oh, now they have to kiss.
Yep. I wrote that this kindness from Matthew Rhys was 100% unearned.
Yeah, absolutely.
By Bradley Cooper's character. It was
Absolutely.
lovely to see Matthew Rhys doing some lovely top-notch acting.
Oh,
but
yeah.
it was still like, this scene makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
Again, just felt like a character feeding into the ego, like, I've always loved you. It's like, oh.
Damn it. You're a son of a bitch. But you're my son of a bitch. It's just the most ridiculous American thing you'd ever see. But yeah, Vikander pays off the gangsters because of what has happened in Paris. And this is communicated to us by having the gangsters walk away from the restaurant looking satisfied, and then Vikander comes around the corner closing her purse. Did she write them a check? Did she carry that on her? They might have gone contactless.
Just big wads of cash
Yeah.
in the purse to also buy cocaine with.
Oh yeah, it could have been unrelated. She just bought a whole bunch of product. She's still got a really big problem. But anyway, that's good. That's 2 big plot points just thoroughly dropped now. He finds out that those weren't the Michelin men after all, so he kisses the man he knows is in love with him. I'm sure that'll be fine in his feelings.
A cruel act for anyone to do.
A cruel Bradley Cooper act that was, only to be expected. It's actually a prequel to A Star Is Born. He's the same asshole.
I mean, I'd be okay with that because then it would inevitably mean that Adam Jones dies.
What he deserves. It's all he deserves. He finds that out. So Sienna Miller says, I was out all night looking for you. What about your daughter? Who? What?
I have a daughter. She's barely been in this film.
I think she has very memorable hair. Oh, that joke. Yeah. Anyway, trust us. We're your family. Oh yeah, there's been lots of bonding there between Bradley Cooper and his crew. So 2 much more likely Delbert Grady-looking motherfuckers show up in order to frighten everyone again. But this time, Cooper's got a secret weapon for these Michelin men. He's gonna not be a prick to all of his staff somehow off-screen.
Whoa.
He's learnt that somehow. We don't find out if he gets the star or not, because it's not important. It's more important that he doesn't care. And you know what? Neither do I.
It was really interesting because with 8 minutes left in the
Yeah.
film, that's when they decided that his character shouldn't be an asshole anymore. But they couldn't show you scenes with that happening.
Yeah.
So they had to use a montage because they couldn't write scenes that would make him likable. They just had to quickly show you scenes where you would hopefully intuit that he's not being the dick he's been for the other hour and a half of this film.
And then he goes and he joins his crew as they have dinner together. Star Trek, Next Generation. You're always welcome here, or whatever the line is. And then, unbelievably, the movie ends. I checked to make sure I haven't skipped a scene, and then that's it.
Yeah.
And that was Burnt, starring Bradley Cooper. Why doesn't this work? Why is
I
this
think
so bad?
because the main character has no redeeming features whatsoever.
He's also not
so
compelling.
Unlikable.
He's not
No.
likable, but he's not also interesting.
You're never rooting for his success
No.
at any point in this film. To the point where you almost root for Omar Sy when he betrays him. You're like, yes, Omar.
Powerful move. Yeah, and actually also an unexpected moment, a rare twist where I was just like, oh, cool. That was something I didn't see coming or, expect was going to happen. That was an interesting disruption. and then he just
It
leaves.
was maybe the only thing I actually remembered about the film, other than not liking it.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't like it, and I remember Omar Sy betrays him towards the end.
It was cool because he's good. I like Omar Sy. He's got great presence, and in this, he's just this big guy with his cool, sexy voice and strong presence. Every time he's on screen, it's like, oh, look, there's Omar Sy. He has that one moment where he gets to be...
Hey, send it back. Too spicy.
What?
Too fucking spicy.
Pepper. I did kind to it. For Paris.
And then just leaves, and it's like, that was fucking cool, but now the best character's gone. Oh, Jesus. It's bewildering, really. It's structured so weirdly, and it just moves so quickly. And yet also, there's so much in it, and yet at the end of it, I just felt like nothing had happened. It's...
No. It's also one of those narratives where it's like, it's kind of a bougie thing anyway.
Yeah.
This chef wants another Michelin. He wants
I
his
know,
third
right?
Michelin star. It's not like a scrappy up-and-coming chef wanting his first Michelin star. It's this bellend who's fucked everything up in Paris now wants his third Michelin star. So they're pretending he's an underdog when he's not.
Yeah, absolutely. It's absurd because, there's nothing at stake. The only way you tell this story, really, is with Sienna Miller, I think. You have to make it her movie, and you start with her, and you have her encounter this guy, and he's an asshole, and it's about her difficult relationship with maybe the toxic work environment, because we have all kind of been trained to expect chefs to be dicks. And we've been told that that's just the cost of their genius, and we're so often fed that as well, this idea that if you're brilliant, you're also going to be a dickhead. And it gets roped in with ableist arguments as well, because all brilliant people have to be slightly autistic, and if you're autistic, it means you don't have people skills. Massive cliche. It's all of the rest of this. It's this idea that brilliant people don't have time to be nice. And it's, archetypes like Sherlock and, Mark Zuckerberg in that movie, the Social Network. And so it would be interesting to see her come up against that. Like, she's got this boss, he's an asshole, but everybody loves him and he's brilliant. So am I the problem? Am I not tough enough to make it in this environment? Or is it that he's a dickhead and I just need to walk away from this toxic prick? There's a movie.
That is a movie, and that's a movie I'd probably have enjoyed watching more. But instead, this man says, no, you can't have your daughter's birthday off, and she still kisses him at some point.
Yeah, it's like Whiplash, but with, like, no self-awareness. Just like, oh yeah, he was right to do that the whole time. As opposed to the kind of complicated thing that Whiplash ends up being a bit. I'm still unsure about Whiplash and its messaging. I still don't know if we were meant to ultimately be on J.K. Simmons' side in Whiplash. But in this, we are definitely on Bradley Cooper's side. And it's not a great side. No. And there's constant allusions to him being a much more conflicted character in the past, and I have mixed feelings about the whole Paris thing. Because on one hand, I like the idea of leaving the big drama off screen and having people, like, just, insinuate what it is, or what that happened. Because it's something to do with Alicia Vikander, who was the daughter of his mentor, and drugs and, all the rest of it. That's fine. It's all in there. But also, it constantly makes you feel you're watching the epilogue of a more interesting story.
It almost feels lazy that they couldn't be bothered to flesh that part out. So it's like, it is cool to not know, but also it feels like they also didn't know.
Yeah, like it's so ill-defined, it's just anything that you can think of. Like, how did this particularly hurt Omar Sy? Was he involved with Vikander and then he, like, cheated on her with him? I don't know. Like, it's very strange because that motivates the entire movie, that thing. It's why he is seeking redemption. Because he's got two rival things here. He comes, at one stage he says he wants to earn the respect of everybody he's wronged. So maybe he thinks that getting this extra Michelin star is the way to prove that, as opposed to actually just being a good guy and showing that he's changed, but maybe he doesn't know that.
Yeah, apologizing, showing penance rather than shucking a million oysters like a bellend.
Oh, what does it mean when he throws his million oyster? Well, maybe that's him, like, acknowledging, okay, this solved nothing. I haven't fixed anything, so I'm going to throw my million oyster log into the Thames. Which you shouldn't do, by the way.
No, that's just littering off Waterloo Bridge.
Look, we've all done it, but you shouldn't.
Well, yeah, you have, London boy.
Look, sometimes you can't find a bin, and you got a crisp packet, and there's an obvious solution to that. It's called the Thames.
It's already so polluted.
It's so
What's
polluted.
one more extra salt and vinegar Walker's packet gonna do?
The very worst one. It just immediately lands on a trout. We have trout in the Thames. Who knew? It's yeah. It's just it's terrible because there's so much great talent in here as well. So many really great performers.
It's devastatingly good cast.
It really is. You just think, what is this? Just Uma Thurman showing up. Is this a Lars von Trier film? What's going on?
I would say she gets about 3 minutes of screen time.
Baffling. And she was already not acting much at this point. It's just
Some would say she wasn't acting much in the film either.
Yes, definitely. It's just nobody really is. Like, Daniel Bruhl shows up as he always does. He's playing a character who's very problematically written, but like he always has a character in mind, you know, and he always kind of plays
Yes,
him.
he was my one good thing when I mentioned this on your anniversary episode.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you gotta love the guy. And there's a couple of moments of his that I'll talk about in quick fire. So you got Bruhl. Sienna Miller, I thought, was doing a good turn for her part. There wasn't much to the character other than to be just utterly in awe of Bradley Cooper. But I still enjoyed her thing. Like, there's good performances peppered around. It's just, what is it in service of? This weird story about redemption that doesn't feel earned because you don't get to feel the weight, really, of whatever it is he's done or what it meant for him. Or, you know, just much of anything. It's just a very weightless film, really. You were saying beforehand, like, it's important to remember that stinkers like this come at all levels of movie production. It's not just, like, low-budget things. And I think it's pretty obvious that this was aiming for actor awards based on, you know, the director's previous stuff. And it's a bit shameless in that respect, because it's a movie that has been designed to give 2 or 3 actors a big, you know, dramatic moment. Well, one actor, really, is Bradley Cooper. And not much else has been done to really earn its place as a movie worth watching. The one I always come back to is Flight. Another Flight movie with Denzel Washington. It was a Robert Zemeckis film. I think that movie gets overlooked as actually being a very good film. It looks like a vanity project for Denzel Washington, but I actually think it's quite entertaining and quite gripping as a sort of thriller. I think it works in and of its own right, and sometimes these movies kind of forget to do that. Yeah, this needed to be a Flight, but it's not. It's, I don't know, Lincoln? It's August Osage County is what it is.
There we go.
Yeah. Oh, shit. But anyway, nevertheless, what's your quick fire about it? Quick fire.
Well, I've already mentioned it a lot, but Matthew Rhys. Always a treasure.
Always a treasure. You gotta love Matthew Rhys.
Okay, all right, look. The whole Mozart Salieri bullshit doesn't interest me anymore. I cook good local ingredients in a unique, creative way to impress my diners.
Well, you don't cook. You warm food up in condoms.
Frying pans, flames, and booze went out with Adam Jones. And please don't think I'm impressed with the water. You're an addict. So if it's not alcohol now, it'll be coke or booze or fucking every girl you meet, because you're addicted to the way you feel every second of the day. Doomed youth is romantic. Doomed middle age really isn't.
Okay, I'll start with my most tiny one, which is I really like Bruhl's suit in the first. He's wearing some pretty good suits throughout the movie, but his first suit that he appears in, I can't remember it very much now, but I had to make the note that I quite liked it. So there you go, Bruhl suit.
I thought the food looked good at nearly every turn.
Yeah.
It almost, but again, like the food barely got a look in.
I
again,
know,
for a
right?
cooking film, they didn't show that many appetizing meals.
No.
But when they did, they did at least look good.
Yeah.
But the recipes and follow this quickfire has now dragged on and is no longer a good thing. So I'll just say the way the food looked when it was on screen.
No, one of my one better things in particular, we'll talk about sort of just luxuriating in the visual appeal of food. But no, I'll have my montages here because there are a few montages I liked, and one of them is absolutely when he goes and visits the street market. And there's just food. There's just good food being prepared, all sorts of food. It gets into the sort of diverse nature of London, which also, in another sequence, is him walking around London at night, shopping for ingredients. There's a nice sense of the marketplaces and the kind of Middle Eastern and Asian presence that is in London. That was a cool scene. And then nice shots and music for the scene where the very fancy restaurant, I think the one that Matthew Iffens is working in, and it's like a laboratory. There was some very nice establishing shots of that kitchen. And then my final... Oh no, you know what? I'll take that out. That's different. So yeah, there were some good montages in here.
They played an RYX song during the fish market scene. Just that took me out of it because I was like, oh, I like this song.
From the games I play, your mom was made up, but your bed's still messing
So good song choice, whatever the director's name was. John Wells.
Good
song choice.
Good song choice. Love it.
Good song choice.
Okay, some dialogue. Let's have all the dialogue I liked. Daniel Bruhl, this one's just weird. If you want to live a full life, eat your own tongue. Weird thing to say. Very early line of dialogue. I by and large quite liked the Burger King monologue. It's a weird point to be making and very corporate, but it felt very anti-easy take. And there's nothing easier than taking a swipe at a fast food place.
You want some lunch?
No, not here, no.
Why not?
I prefer to eat food cooked by a proper chef.
You don't like people on minimum wage?
Mr. Jones, I'm a sous chef. I'm a person on minimum wage.
You know why people like you don't like fast food?
Sorry, people like me.
Because it's food for the working class.
Excuse me?
Justify why it costs $500 more to eat at a place where we work than it does at a place like this.
No.
Because you can't.
Because the food here is made with too much fat and too much salt and too many cheap cuts of meat.
You just described most classic French peasant dishes. Burger King. Peasants doing what peasants do. Giving cheap cut and meat a little style. Goulash, bourguignon, cassoulet. Shall I go on?
Where do you have to go?
What you should have said is that the problem with this place is it's too consistent. And consistency is death.
Yeah, that would be a proper, unpretentious chef's main problem with a fast food place. It's just that you get the same thing every time. It's not taking any risks. Everything else, a right-on dude could be behind. The only problem is, you don't really get a sense of this kind of championing the working class or simple food later on in the movie. And in fact, quite rightly, you've identified the whole shucking oyster thing as penance is a real dick move. God almighty.
It was a good monologue that didn't belong in this film.
Yeah.
And almost felt like they had to put it in there to get the Burger King money.
Yeah, and Stephen Knight just decided, all right, if I'm going to put this in here, I'm going to write an actual interesting defense of Burger King in order to make this happen.
I don't know if I have any more good things.
Oh my God.
Again, we've touched on a lot. Like, I thought that visually it was really it was really well shot.
Yes, it was.
All the shots of London looked great.
Yeah.
But you can't make up for a script this dire with actual good cinematography.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. The only thing I say against the cinematography is I don't think it really got under the skin when it came to him having a strop in the kitchen. Those sequences, they felt a bit flat and kind of awkward, but no, there were some really good looking shots throughout the whole thing of just cooking, of food, and of London itself as a place to set this. All right, I'll rattle off my last few. I like Zemo standing up to Cooper to make the birthday cake. The daughter has been forced to come to the restaurant and is being looked after by Daniel Bruhl because, what else have gays got going on? They can just sit around and look after the kid.
They're not the maitre d' of a Michelin star restaurant. They can look after a child.
That's not that. There's no work associated there.
We're quick firing the good things.
I
but
know.
This scene was actually just unhinged.
I know, but
it was like, was it meant to be endearing? Because it wasn't.
He came off like a dick throughout the whole thing. But I loved him coming in and just be like,
Chef Lily didn't want to stay at home today because it's her birthday, so Tony said if I brought her into work, he'd watch her during service.
It's a fucking birthday cake, okay? So, make a cake.
You know, I like that.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love
you fucking
Daniel
tell him.
Bruhl. Love his character
Yeah.
standing up for himself one time and one time only.
One time only. Yeah, but it does just conform so heavily to that idea of the LGBT character just fucking being a supporting role for other characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, just totally being on hand to just help out wherever is needed. Okay, an interaction between Cooper and Sienna Miller I liked. When, after they've discussed Vikander and they've had the big serious talk, she then says, her perfume smelled amazing. And he just said, she smelled okay. And it felt like an actual interaction. The first time in the movie, I wonder if it was improvised, because it felt like what someone might actually say. And a natural response. I actually quite like that. And then there's an Emma Thompson line near the end where she comes and finds that he's sat outside of her therapy lab. I don't know what it is. And just says,
I'm almost certain it isn't Friday.
Good delivery, I think. Do I have anything else? I like the idea that the chefs all have dinner together, because that's something you don't often see, because, you know, chefs got to eat. And so one of the chefs is just making a big pie.
You clearly don't watch the hit FX show The Bear, because they have family dinner all the time. Family dinner feels like it's an actual big tradition that's carried on by chefs. I know 2 chefs. I could message them and find out if that's a fact, but I feel like we can speculate on the fact that The Bear and Burnt both have family dinner as a term for chefs sitting down and eating before service.
Yeah.
That's maybe a thing that happens.
I love that. And I love the idea that they would, you know, we're not going to make the haute cuisine that we cook, you know, obviously. It's dreadful. People pretend to like it. So we're just going to make a big pie. We're going to make a big pie.
Did look like a good pie.
Like a good pie. Yeah. Lots of veggies. Good stuff. My final one then is that at various points a lot is made of chef's knives. When Sienna Miller gets fired, she gets given her knives. And then Alicia Vikander gives Bradley Cooper her father's knives, and he takes them out and he sort of looks at them and he kind of reveres them. And I like this idea that the chef's knives are like their lightsaber. You know, this kind of this holy thing that they take everywhere with them.
That is a nice thought and concept. During that scene, I just thought, you're running your finger down that knife in such a way where you would have cut your finger right open. So
that was
clearly
a
prop knife.
We are specifically told
if that was...
that it is sharp.
Yeah, and he's just running his finger along the edge, and I'm like, the fuck are you doing?
Like fucking Narsil, the flame of the West. Oh, God. Yeah, so I think that's going to do it for quick firing Burnt. Oh, God, the OG team! The OG team! I forgot about you. Which is crazy.
Did anyone have anything? Because I only saw this film because I was waiting for a plane. I can't imagine many other people would have seen it by choice.
Let's have a look. So, nothing on Twitter. There's still people talking about Blood Rain, even though it was 2 episodes ago. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. We all know you love Uwe Boll, but this is ridiculous. Alright, no. Okay, so nothing from the OGT. Which is fair enough. We can't recommend watching Burnt. We suggest that you leave off and let it fall into obscurity where it belongs. But maybe not. Maybe it deserves to be remembered. Because, you know, you should never just be in a movie for the sake of self-aggrandizement. That's the real lesson here. But I tell you what didn't do that, is these movies. The One Better Thing. The One Better Thing.
I don't know there's that many chef-based movies. I think that it's not a movie, but as we previously mentioned, The Bear.
Oh, yeah.
Which just came out this year on FX. The Bear is about a Michelin star chef who quits his job to move back to Chicago to take over his brother's restaurant after his brother dies. So he starts to try to implement the ways of a high-stake kitchen into a small restaurant. And it's generally funny and touching and moving, and it's on, if you're in the UK, it's on Disney Plus, and if you're in America, it's on FX, and if you're anywhere else in the world, I don't know, Google it. But yeah, so not a TV, not a film, although
no, that's fine.
Yeah, as you said, the menu comes out.
Check that out. Lovely Anya Taylor-Joy.
does seem like it takes a more interesting turn than this film did. At the
Yes, it
halfway
does. I genuinely thought from everybody talking about it and its appearance at festivals and such that it was a high prestige movie about a chef. I did not realize until the first cinematic trailer dropped that this is and then there were fewer Most Dangerous Games style horror things. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing that.
Yes, I'm excited to see that as well.
I do love Ralph Fiennes, Nicholas Hoult, and Anya Taylor-Joy. Yeah, okay, I've got a few. So, Chef, the Jon Favreau movie from 2013. I really liked it. I thought it was obviously a fairly on-the-nose metaphor about his filmmaking career. You know, he's a guy, he used to be an exciting chef, he's settled into making stuff that's very consistent and a bit boring, and a critic challenges him to reconnect with his roots and make something special and unique. You know, it's obviously about his relationship with Marvel and, you know, making a very bland product and then rediscovering what got him into cooking in the first place. But the thing is, it celebrates food so much. Like, there are so many great shots of how good this food is, and, like, early on he makes this cheese toasty, and I just still remember this cheese toasty as being the most gorgeous thing I've ever seen in my life. And he ends up making Cubans, which is this excellent kind of sandwich with, I think, salt beef and cheese and a little pickle. It's very straightforward, but he ends up sort of mastering it and making this a kind of high cuisine thing. So it's a very sweet film as well, and another great cast. Then, if you want to see Stephen Knight even just writing a better chef sequence, there is a bit in Spencer where, what's the name of the terrifying actor? Sean Harris. He plays this chef for the royal family, but he's, in spite of him being terrifying Sean Harris, he's got this gentle manner to him. He treats them all like they were soldiers together in a battalion. They act very much like an army in the way that they prepare this food, and it's got a real sense of seriousness and drive, but also, without any scenes really of it happening, there is such a sense of camaraderie between them, I think just because Sean Harris is so good. And then if you want to see the flip side, if you want to actually see the really stressful, awful side of cooking, you got to watch Boiling Point. The movie from last year. Stephen Graham is a head chef. It was on Netflix, and Jesus Christ, it's one of the most tense movies ever made, I think. It was all shot in one long sequence, and it's just the relationship between the waiting staff and the customers, and then the waiting staff and the chefs, and the sort of relationship manager going in amongst it, and it's just showing where all of the stress comes from in running a well-respected restaurant, and it's just superb, but it's a bit fraught. But Stephen Graham is fucking excellent in it, of course. He always is. Yeah, I think that'll do it for the one better thing. The one better thing. I always expect the theme to play.
Same. I don't think I expected it to play. I think I expected you just to say it.
I say it live every time. I usually have the band going. Sarah, how can people find out about you and your endeavors?
Oh, well, I am basically Penguin Panic across all platforms. So I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr as Penguin Panic. But you can also just search for me as Sara Keep. I do art and I do podcasts, and I continue to exist in this world despite what anyone else tries to do about it.
Fuck yeah. Absolutely. And you're still on Twitter whilst it is a platform that exists.
Oh, it's fun to watch it burn. It's fun to watch corporations lose millions of dollars because of parody accounts.
It's fun to see what would actually happen if someone did think that they were Tony Stark in real life. It would just be an absolute shit show.
Yeah.
And that is worth watching. So, yeah, the one better thing, if you want an egomaniac destroying himself, is to just log on to Twitter. Fantastic. One good thing, you know what to do. OGT Pod, type it into anything, you'll probably get us. And then also Quest Fantastic, where you can hear the excellent Sara Keep along with our other co-hosts. Hosts? Yeah, we're all hosts of that show. I don't know, like, people, just pod people. We're all pod people on there, and it's good fun. It's a really good podcast. You can hear Jen and the Film Critic in order to hear more of my movie reviews. Goodman's got stuff going on. I don't know. Check the comments. He loves me. Check the comments. He now comments on our videos and talks about the things he's got going on. God bless him. Yeah, but I think that's just about gonna do it. I'm Paul Salt.
I'm Sara Keep.
And remember, the one good thing about Burnt is that Matthew Rhys was having his own much more interesting movie just on the sidelines.